Hey everybody, I'm Alvin.
And I'm Marcy. And this is Life in Marriage with Alvin and Marcy.
Yeah, Mars. So we are back officially.
Yes, we're back.
And we're glad. We're glad to be back. We took a little break.
Well needed.
And just to get some thoughts and prayers together for moving forward. I thank everybody who's been watching, who's been coming up to me and say, hey, when y'all coming back? And they've been patient with us, but we assure you that what God has put in us, we are glad to be able to share now. So
Absolutely.
we are going. How you feeling, Mars?
I'm feeling great. Excited for our upcoming episodes. And let me tell you, it will be something in there for everyone that can relate.
Yeah. So we thought that we'd come back with something that, like she said, that would relate to a lot of people, and that's parenting. And so for the next 4 episodes, we are going to be talking about the stages of parenting. Each one of them have their glories and each
Unique
of them
experiences.
Yeah, I was going to say challenges, but you put it more politically correct there. And so we're just going to walk through some of them, and we encourage you to put your questions and your comments,
Feedback.
yes, in our website. Do you remember the website?
No.
And so we encourage you to, it'll be on your screen. We encourage you to put your comments and your questions on there to help us with next episodes to come.
Email us, reach out to us on Facebook. We're on Facebook. We would love to hear about your experiences so that
Keep going.
you'll...
I'm pointing to.
Okay, I know what you was doing. You'll be able, to contact us via Facebook, YouTube, and send us a message. If you got some concerns about different stages that you may be in with your children, please share with us, because we want to make this educational. We want to make it, so that you can kind of laugh at yourself at some of the mistakes you may have or may not have made. So.
And inspiring for the places that you may be in right now. So we'll get started.
Yeah, so I wanted to go over, some different stages of raising children, since we are the parents of 4, 3 girls, 1 boy, and let me tell you, we have experienced them all. So we want to start with our newborn to toddler stage. And we were in our mid-20s when we had like 3 toddlers. They were in the toddler stage, under 5 years old. Yeah. And let me tell you, it was challenging. It was truly challenging. So many of you parents know that, when you have a newborn, your job is to provide their basic needs, their food. They can't really do anything on their own, so they depend on you for every need, whether it's changing diapers.
Yeah.
What about the bottle feedings in the middle of the night? And
one thing I thought about, the bonding that a mother and child has when they feed otherwise. Something that we can't get involved in, fellas. That's a special bonding, another special bonding that the mother and the child, if the child chooses to, with that type of feeding. I'm going to go back a little bit, though. The stages of the child in the mother's belly. I don't want to forget that.
Starts there.
Yeah, because it's a bonding that we fellows will never feel. Although, in our case, the symptoms of pregnancy, our case, I was the one who got the morning sickness.
Yeah, I never experienced morning sickness with neither of my pregnancies, so
don't ask me how.
Yeah, he had them.
Don't ask me how. But I had the morning, and they weren't fun. So I can only imagine what the mother would be going through. But I just wanted to add that stage in there because it's a very important stage of raising, a child.
Yeah, and I can remember carrying our daughters and times when he would come and talk to my stomach and the baby would move. So they recognize your voice, from the very beginning in the womb. So I find that fascinating.
That is fascinating. And then you have to eat the right things and you have to do the right things. And certain habits that some people have that they really don't realize how much it affects the baby through the mother. And so we begin that stage before they come into the world.
Right.
And then they come into the world.
And then with toddlers, you really have to watch them, especially when they first start walking. They're grabbing everything and you're chasing after them. Hopefully you have the energy from not getting sleep the night before, but you're chasing after them, making sure they don't put their hands in things they're not supposed to. So, that could be a very crucial time and tiring time as a parent, but our duty is to protect them, to provide for them, make sure they're healthy, get them to their doctor visits. So then we go from there to early childhood, which is from ages 4 to 7. So do you have any memories?
I do, but something just dropped in my spirit about that whole process again. Fellas, can you imagine, carrying a baby for 9 months and then the baby's here and then she's taking care of it, and we have a part to play in that also, because it's difficult, for the mother, both emotionally, physically, 9 months and then you birth. And so we have a part to play in there. We have to learn how to do the diapers, and it might not be fun, but you have to support the mother. This is a very important time to support the mother in those years.
All right, so next we're going to talk about early childhood, which is from the ages of 4 to 7. At this time, they're in daycare, they're getting ready to transition to kindergarten. Can you think of any stories of our girls or our son, that really sticks out to you around that age?
Well, I guess in between that 3 and 4 and 7, I just remember the times that we were working different shifts.
Oh, yeah.
And I would work first shift, and then I'd bring the kids and hand them off to you, or you'd hand them off to me as we were working second shift. And I'd take them home and feed them and try to do their hair. The girls, I would try to do their hair. So you wouldn't have so much to do when you got off at 10 o'clock.
That was a trying time, because it was very difficult for us to find time for him and I, because we worked different shifts. So that could be very challenging. It's so important that you support one another during that time, because you're already not seeing each other and spending time with one another. And then you have these rowdy little toddlers to 7-year-olds and you're telling them no, and they're giving you a little attitude or defiance. So
it's terrible too. Doesn't end at 3, and trust me, because it continues on into the early childhood, and it's a fun time. Like you said, we're trying to make them establish healthy eating habits, healthy relationships. Our children were kind of different in this stage, so where they didn't, other than family, they didn't kind of catch on to other people really well.
They had a few friends and they would come over and want to stay at our house. So your children and then the neighbor's children. So they could be.
And they had a way of, excuse me, we have another guest on tonight that keeps licking my elbow, trying to get in the screen. It's our 3-year-old boxer. So if you see a head peek up, don't be alarmed. But, also, they didn't take to adults, so many adults too well.
That's true.
Their little spirits were kind of fending themselves. So it was an interesting time, along with being a curious time.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had the ER visits from things in their foot to well, I don't know, their arm coming out, nursemaid elbow, if any of our health people know about that, I tell you, we've been through it all. So, yeah.
And safeguard, this is a time that you have to safeguard your home. You got to buy the electrical outlet covers, and you got to buy the bumpers for, your homes for sharp edges. You have to, because they're just learning, they're walking, but their coordination hasn't gotten together, and you start getting them into activities that help their coordination, that help their motor skills. And so this is a real trying stage. Yeah, so
Absolutely. You definitely have to be prayerful during these times for patience, because they will try you. Yeah. But I want to smooth transition into the next phase of middle to childhood. These are the ages between 8 and 12. Challenging as well. A lot of prayer needed as well, because they're what they consider preteen when they're like 12. So
yeah,
we're learning all over again what that's like, because we have a granddaughter that is 13.
Yeah, and I mean, with both of these times between the early childhood and the middle childhood is when their attitudes change, and their what's the word? Their own kind of self comes through. They're learning from us.
And they're learning from the outside.
They bring a lot of bad habits home that we have to correct.
Address.
And this is an area also where you have to be consistent in teaching your children who's the adult and who is not. And I'm trying to put it mildly, but this is the area where you have to really be sensitive. At the same time, you have to, let them know who the parent is.
Okay, so even with friendships, you have to be mindful who your children are hanging around with, and their friends' environment, because you can't just let your children go with anybody, because we're just living in this world where everything is going on. You have to be mindful. You have to communicate with your 8 to 12-year-old and find out what is going on in their world, because I promise you, it's not what you've been through at that age. So you may want to keep that dialogue of communication open so that you can see exactly where they are.
Yeah. I can just think of some of the things that I did, or things that I was taught in that area. Some were good and some were not so good. There were kids in that age area that were smoking and, trying to
experiment, peer pressure.
And they're going into junior high school. And so when that occurs, that's just a whole new, they're trying to find themselves and be a part of. So it's important for us to understand what they're, being a part of. When we were growing up, I mean, our parents has had some challenges, but they know, when we had rules in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the time.
Yeah.
To teach moral values like honesty and kindness. And how about this? Money. Teach them the importance of money and savings. This will be a great age. You could start as young as, I would say, maybe 3-4 years old. Get them that bank and have them put their little money in there, teaching them about money and how to save, and even think about a project that they're working on. Like our oldest granddaughter, she's 13, and let me tell you, she has an entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, she'll make things, take them to school, and before you know it, she's coming home with money. So this will be a great time to teach them how to save money, how to teach them about investments and things of that sort.
Yeah, that's important. And one thing, we didn't mention, a matter of fact, it's the most important thing that we haven't mentioned yet, is through all these stages, in our home, we teach them about faith. in the 0 to 3 year old, we'll have them in Sunday school, and we'll have them in, what do you call it?
Vacation Bible School.
Bible School. Just teaching about our faith. Now, we'll get some disagreement with some parents, because I've heard some parents say, well, let them get older and let them figure it out on their own. But our word says to bring them up in the way that they should go. And so bringing them up, part of their nourishment from the very beginning is teaching them our faith and our beliefs and why. Because when they get into early childhood, these children are smart. They can begin reflecting the scriptures, and they can start living them in early childhood.
And what I want to add was that at that stage, they're curious about God and in a relationship. I know our grandson, who is 12, him and Veda both, are really into the word and want to know about this and why did this happen. So this is a time for us to instill in them and really answer their questions and see where they are spiritually.
Yeah. And be prepared yourself to answer the why. And to be able to rightly divide the word of God, so we can teach them the proper way and what the word is saying. And so for you parents who disagree, well, that's fine. We're talking what we do in our home to bring them up in the way they should go, and what they shall not depart from. Yeah.
All right. Woo. So now we're at this teenage year. And again, as grandparents with preteen and teenage ages, it's challenging, because it makes me kind of reflect back on when our daughters were teens, and every child is different.
Yes.
You can't do for one child and say, okay, it worked, and then I'm going to try the same way. No. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. No, and you have to recognize that the differences, when we look at those of us who had siblings when we were growing up, you knew that you were different in those stages. And so you have to begin to spread yourself out. You're going to get attitude from most of them anyway.
So patience definitely comes into play.
Patience.
So I want to read a few things on here that I found was like right on. Guide them toward independence while setting healthy boundaries, because they're going to test the boundaries. If I have to be in the house at 9:00, I'm going to kind of work it till 9:30. Okay. What are the consequences when you break the boundaries or you break the house rules? So that's something that you really need to pray to God for patience.
I know that you were involved with some young ladies in the past, that you had kind of a group to specifically teach boundaries. And that's very important to get your children involved
absolutely
in things like that. At this stage, it seems as though they listen to others outside the home,
peer pressure,
versus inside the home. They listen more on the outside. So it's good to get them in these outside, faith-based organizations that will teach them healthy boundaries. Let them hear from someone else healthy boundaries, because they're going to get the unhealthy stuff automatically while they're in school and out in the world. They're going to get that. So it's important that we teach them the healthy boundaries and expose them to things that give them healthy boundaries, athletics and things of that nature.
Extracurricular activities.
Yeah. They don't have to sit up in front of the TV with the joystick in their hand, and you think that's cool all the time. No, get them out around other people to learn healthy boundaries.
So teaching responsibility, decision making, example, handling peer pressure, which is a big thing. Managing money, we talked about that. Provide emotional support during identity and self-esteem struggles. At this day, at that age, you deal with a lot of self-esteem issues, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and just encouraging them for them to know that they are a child of God and that they're beautifully and wonderfully made. It's so important that we instill that into them so they know that they are special and they are the apple of God's eye.
One thing that we did coming up, we had open and honest conversations with our children. We prayed about what we were going to say and how we were going to say it, but never in our time of raising children that we didn't want them to feel comfortable talking to us openly. In that 13 to 18 teenage years, their hormones change and they start experimenting with different things. And different people. And so you have to be able to be in a position where your children aren't afraid to come to you and ask you about anything.
Yes, and at that age too, it's also important that they understand boundaries, that they're given responsibilities like chores, keeping their grades up. Those things are important that you express to them so they know what is expected of them.
Yeah, and we don't want to sound like we are preaching to the choir.
We've made plenty of mistakes.
Because it's a learning process. We were just fortunate enough to have that relationship with our children, at the same time have them give us the respect that was due to us as their parent. That's a hard boundary. This is where you begin letting go. And I want to talk about that. I'm going to sit on that for just a second.
So what do you mean by letting go?
Because in those earlier stages, from the 3-year-old, you got the cuddly baby there that you're nourishing, and then you're growing with them, and then, the other stage, you're teaching them, you're playing their little games with them, and then they get a little older, and they begin to go to school dances, and now they're here in the teenage years, where they know everything. You don't know anything, but they know everything.
You never were their age before. You're old.
But they're getting close to graduation and getting ready to transition to college. So there is a space there that we have to begin to allow them to experience life. You've taught them all you could teach them.
Like talking about career choices.
Things
of that nature.
That did letting them, pick their career choices. I've seen families kind of throw choices on their children, and you have to be comfortable with. You hear stories about musicians and artists whose parents said, "No way, you're not going to be, a poet. You can't make any money being a poet." But there would never been a Maya Angelou,
Right.
And so you have to get there. I suggest you learn the language. Get a different language, like I found out what capping was. I ain't gonna cap to you that I knew, because I ain't know what capping was. So you learn different languages. In our coming up, we had our own language.
Yeah, we did.
And so it's important to even learn their language, but still, here's the time when you begin to back off and let what you have taught them kick in.
And I also want to add too, don't be so hard on them if they don't want to go to college. maybe they want to go to trade school. And I mean, there's a lot of careers in trade schools.
Yeah.
That could be the catalyst that could bring them into a great fortune.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be architect or going to learn about construction, building their own home. Hey, build us a house.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
know?
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And again, that if you have an entrepreneur in your home, let them
Nurture it.
Yeah, nurture that. Let them experiment with different things to get that fix of where they want to go and what they want to do.
Because if you watch them long enough, you'll see that they're prone to be interested in a certain type of field.
Yeah.
And then your job is to, hey, let's go to a seminar. They have a free seminar here. Let's go see, what this is about, since I see you're interested in it. So our job as parents is so
yeah, and
important. And
when we still think about the world and the way it is, it's different to send your teenager, allow your teenager to go to a house party. These days, when we were coming up, we had our little scuffles in the corner or whatever, but the level that it's at now, parents are afraid to even let their teenager explore some of the things like that. And we get it, honestly, we get it when you realize it. Of course, if you've seen earlier episodes, you know that we lost our son at 16. And that is a learning thing that we had to realize, that after he passed, we couldn't keep our daughters in a cage. As much as you wanted to, we couldn't keep our daughters in a cage. We had to continue to trust God and let them do the things that teens their age were going to do. Right. And so, because if we didn't, they were going to find a way to do it anyway. So we'd rather continue to trust God. That was difficult for us.
Yeah, it was. Especially when our oldest daughter went to high school. It was like, when she said she wanted to go somewhere, we were like a nervous wreck, But in all, as parents, our role is to definitely keep that connection with God. Pray, ask God for guidance, and to raise our children to obey God and fear God and to serve God.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we know that we had to walk the walk. Couldn't just talk the talk. It wasn't just a Sunday thing.
Absolutely.
They had to see it in us each and every day at home. Yes, we made some mistakes. But even through our mistakes, they learned from us, and we were open about our mistakes. And we always took our mistakes back to the throne and allowed them to see that mistakes will be made, but that there is a Savior, and we don't have to stay where we are.
Thank God for that. Thank God for Jesus.
Yep. So, discuss a topic or career. How did your parents, when you got 17 years old, 17-year-old and 17-year-old, I'm not going to say what's on my mind there. 17, and you were dating,
I thank God for my parents, because they were a good judge of character. So if I was dating and I brought someone home, and it'll be my dad saying, I don't know about that boy, what is he in school? They made sure that I was aware that something wasn't right, if they detected something right. And then if they seen some good things, they were like, I like that young man. He's working and he's got his mind right. He has a career and so forth. So, I mean, as your children get older, you would think, okay, I can lay back. I'm cool now. They grown. They get ready to go off to college. I don't have to worry anymore. Wrong.
Yeah.
That's when you're on your knees even more when they become adults. So, why me saying that?
Okay.
I think we're going to stop right here because our next couple of episodes, y'all going to feel us. You know what I'm saying? You're going to feel us because it just doesn't stop when they become adults. So we'll talk about that.
We will. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. We encourage you to follow us through this next 3 or 4 episodes that we have planned, and it's all about parenting children through and in
Our adult children.
Yeah, and so we it's a joy. It's a joy from every moment that they. I watch my children come into the world, and it's been a joy ever since. I just encourage everyone to stay on their knees first of all, and let God lead you through the journey of having children and parenting children. There are fearful times, there are challenging times, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Amen.
All right? So until then, I'm Alvin.
And I'm Marcy. And this is Life in Marriage with Alvin and Marcy. Take care.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thanks for watching.